It says it's recording.
It is recording now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So welcome everybody. Um, I have the honor to introduce Alicia today, and she's gonna give a presentation to all of us about menopause and the genetic profile and hormonal situation. So let me just briefly mention who is Alicia. Imagine embarking a journey that unlocks the genetic secrets behind hormonal imbalances, guided by someone with a PhD in botany and 30 years of experience teaching in higher education. That is the foundation that Alicia brings to her work. As a holistic nutritionist, deeply attuned to the biology of DNA, Alicia, together with her business partner, developed the Gene Reset Blueprint. It's a step-by-step program offered in both English and also in Spanish, illuminating the path for individual care and personalized wellness. Her expertise extends beyond academia. Alicia's work is also shaped by her personal commitment to living a healthy lifestyle and supporting her body according to its genetics needs, informed by her own past experience with hormonal imbalances. This blend of scientific knowledge and lived experience guides Alicia's approach as a biologist and nutritionist specializing in hormonal imbalances. She offers a perspective on personalized health that is firmly grounded in science and guided by empathy. So, thank you for being here, Alicia. Take it from here now.
Well, thank you, Maricel, for that great introduction. And thank you, everybody that's here listening to this masterclass or the series of masterclass that we're presenting today. I decided to present you the topic of HRT, hormone replacement therapy. It's a hot topic, I know, and I don't know how many people ask me about it. So I will give you probably a perspective that you haven't heard before. But of course, it has to come from a holistic perspective because we cannot separate our hormones from our whole body. So I'm going to start by sharing. I'll be on and off, basically sharing my screen for you so that you actually uh, can actually follow me a lot better. Now, is it okay? Can you see my screen? I hope you can. Perfect. Okay, so let's start with first of all, we talk about menopause from a different perspective. In which way? We talk about it because we talk about epigenetics. And a lot of people ask me, like, why did you get into epigenetics? Well, first of all, I'm a biologist. Before I became a holistic nutritionist, I'm a biologist. And I have taught this, about 30 years. I have taught higher education in all areas of biology, not only genetics, but general biology, human biology, microbiology, um, ecology, biochemistry, cellular biology, etc. And so to me, looking at menopause is supporting your body towards an optimal wellness. It's not only about HRT. So, and as Maricel introduced me, I don't work alone. I have a business partner. Her name is Brenda Wallenberg. Good for her. She's actually right now in Cancun, so she couldn't be here. However, I just want to introduce you to her because she's a writer. I decided to not, I decided that writing was not my thing, but thanks to her, we have been able to have created what we call an epigenetic roadmap series. So this is a book that we have on Amazon, Epigenetic Roadmap to Menopause Health, and there's also a manual together with the book. So I just want to acknowledge Brenda because thanks to her, this has basically got into writing books. We have another book about epigenetic roadmap with for parenting children with ADHD as well. And why did we decide to write? We decide to write to give people tools to be able to understand their own biology, their own chemistry. So as mentioned today, we're going to talk about HRT, but we're going to talk about what is HRT, why HRT, and all of that. But before I get there, I want to look at all of these huge amount of what I call menopause clinical manifestations. We're different women. There's varying reasons why we have them. There's some that are more common than others, like here's a list: hot flashes, hair thinning, UTIs, urinary urgency, brain fog, low libido, muscle aches, memory, especially memory when you go into a room and you have no idea why you got into the room, that type of thing. Mood swings, vaginal dryness, headaches, very common actually, insomnia, not being able to sleep, dry skin, weight gain, which is like a lot of people's like, oh my gosh, I'm gaining way more weight than I'm supposed to have too. Being able to concentrate, body odor, night sweats. So there are many menopausal clinical manifestations, very similar in a lot of women, but we're all different. And there's varying reasons why we have these clinical manifestations. So, as mentioned, I'm going to be stopping off and off my screen to just give me an idea either on here, anybody here, if anybody has experienced one, two, three, or more than three of these clinical manifestations. And I don't call them a disease, because it's not a disease. It's how your body is responding to the environment. So Sue says more than three. Yeah, very common, more than three. Anybody more than five? Anybody? All of them. I had somebody came to me the other day and I'm like, I have all of them. All of them. Being hot flashes, the worst nightmare. Um, by the way, I don't have hot flashes. I'll tell you my story about menopause in just a minute. But she says, you cannot imagine what it's like. I'm in the middle of giving a talk and I start sweating and I start getting turned red as a tomato and I'm sweating. You cannot imagine what it's like to get up in the middle of the night, completely soaking wet with these night sweats. So one important thing to me that why all of these menopausal clinical manifestations is the environment. And you're gonna see how I leverage my YouTube video. I don't treat YouTube. Oh, second. Let me just, yeah, there was somebody. Thank you. Somebody I had to unmute. So let's take a look at what is contributing overall to all of these clinical manifestations. And one important thing about this is that the environment has changed. The environment has changed so much. Our lifestyle has changed a lot. We have shifted our dietary patterns and we have a lot more sedentary behaviors. We spend more time sitting down than our ancestors. By environmental changes, there's a lot of environmental changes that have occurred. And I think I mentioned this story before, but briefly, I want to tell you that I'm originally from Mexico. When I was 25, so I moved to Canada. I'm 65 now, so I've been here almost 40 years. And this is what happened. I was a size 7 in September when the term started. I was a size 13 by December when the term ended. I had no idea what was happening. This was a huge environmental shift for me. And I call this estrogen dominance because there was a lot more estrogen in meat, dairy, and everything in my environment that basically just, I got like this weight gain in like so fast. Then we can talk about all of these other lifestyle changes as well. Sleep has changed. There's insufficient sleep. Insufficient sleep, actually, or a circadian rhythm that's not normal, will alter appetite hormones. You might be able to say, oh, why is it I'm hungry before I go to bed? Or why am I hungry just, in the middle of the night? All our hormones have circadian rhythm, same thing as our circadian rhythm that we get from sleep. Then we, of course, have a lot of socioeconomic and food systems. You have heard about food insecurity. You know, I don't know how many families have heard that say, we cannot afford eating organic food all the time. It's impossible. I have 3 kids, and I remember like having a family of 5 and having all of us, and we never went out. It was just impossible to even go out for meals back then. It was, could we afford 100% organic food in our home? It was impossible. There can be a lot of economic constraints in families. A lot of families will go for what is available or what's close by. I was telling the story the other day about a family I worked with in LA, Mexican family. The son, 13-year-old, was actually starting to develop breasts. And the mom came ask me, like, what's happening? And I said, okay, let's take a look at what you eat. And like, that's simple. Okay. And the boy takes a big package of chicken, one of those packages that have a lot of chicken. And then I said, wow, those are huge breasts. And they go, no, they're not breasts. They're actually thighs. And I'm like, holy smokes, have you ever seen a chicken like in nature with the size of thighs, the size of breasts? Impossible. The only way we can get there is by altering our food system. So, but I understand the economic constraints. I understand that it's almost impossible to be eating 100% healthy all the time. Besides that, there's our genetics. And here's where the epigenetics, I'm going to talk more about that. They're genetic variants. We call them genetic variants, something we inherited from our parents. Our genes, we obtained our genes, half our genes from mom, half from dad. We got them the day we were basically fertile, when the egg was fertilized by the sperm. They'll never change over our lifetime until we pass on. And some genes we have, there have been genetic variants. And I'll give you some examples of some genes that I work with, so to give you an idea on why do we use these genes. But many of these genes influence hormonal metabolism. In other words, they tell us, some genes will tell us, oh, you're metabolizing estrogen, for example, to a form that is protective. Or maybe you're metabolizing estrogen to a form that's not protective. Oh, maybe you're a slow metabolizer and your liver is very slow. Maybe you're a fast metabolizer and your liver is very fast. And of course, we also have early life and development. The way we were fed when we were kids, from the minute we were born, were you breastfed? For how long were you breastfed? I remember when I had my first daughter, my mom was like, I only breastfed you for 3 months. And I'm like, okay, my mom is very wise. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it for 6 months. And I'm like, and later on, by the time I had my third one, it's like, no, I'm going to let him decide how long to be fed. So all of these, all these exposures in early life shape our metabolic responses. So it's not as simple as what is contributing to menopausal symptoms, because it's a whole bunch of different things contributing to menopausal symptoms. And thing is, like, the bottom line is this: menopause symptoms are more common now than when our grandmothers or great grandmothers went through menopause. At least that's what we're seeing. Now, we need to think about this shift. We have changed the way we view menopause. Yes, we have seen environmental conditions have changed drastically, but also we're more open to talk about it. Back then, women were like, no, absolutely not. There's no way anybody's going to talk about menopause because you think you're hysterical. And by the way, this is something that we found out when we were writing a book. The word hysterical, which might mean like you're going nuts, you're going crazy, comes from French, okay, which means you're going basically, which means you are getting wiser. But again, hysterectomy and hysterical and all of that came from that word is like, oh, you are a woman, you're going into your hysterical part of your basically of your life. So it's a very different point of view than when our grandmothers went through menopause. It was a different point of view. Like I remember my mother had a hysterectomy. I don't remember her going through, I mean, she went drastically into menopause. And after I saw that, I'm like, I'm going to keep all my organs and I'm going to go through menopause naturally. And it happened like that. It really happened like that. I'm very, very lucky that I'll tell you how my menopause went. And it's so funny. People think it's really funny. But first of all, I started in perimenopause. I started having very heavy periods. You know, one of those periods where you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh my gosh, you remember when you were a teenager and you wake up soaking wet? Well, that happened to me, of course. And, like very, very, like very heavy, very heavy. And that happened about 4 or 5 times. But then I started doing a cleanse. I started doing one of my, back then it was like, it wasn't just like the cleanse, because I've been now, about 12 years ago, this happened. But I decided to use homeopathic remedies. And I'm like, I'm just taking homeopathic remedies to see what happens. Well, my hot flashes lasted 24 hours. It was hilarious. It was as if every hour they would turn on the light and off, on the light, hot flash, off. That's it. And I'm like, oh, is this what a hot flash feels like? People can't believe it that they lasted 24 hours. But I was already doing something with my lifestyle. And this is where we're going to go get into how is our lifestyle and what are we doing behind scenes to be able to understand our physiology. Okay? So, first of all, let's start by clarifying a little bit about what is HRT. Okay? So, HRT, the words HRT come from hormone replacement therapy. And it's a treatment for menopause symptoms that uses medication to replace hormones that the ovaries have stopped making. Now, HRT, in the past, HRT has used a lot of synthetic hormones, usually estrogen, sometimes synthetic progesterone like progestin. Nowadays, people are using bioidentical hormones. Bioidentical hormones are chemically identical to those your body makes. But there is no regulation about bioidentical hormones. They are compounded. Sometimes, there can be very variable in dose and purity and all that. There's no quality control on bioidentical hormones. So there is actually a book that became very, very popular about HRT, and I'm going to stop sharing to show it to you. It's called Estrogen Matters. Estrogen Matters, written by a medical doctor and a PhD. Estrogen Matters talks about basically what happened. I think it was 2002, where there was a study called the Women's Health Initiative. And basically, within that study, which was partially true but not true, they published in JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association, which is a big journal, and they said HRT is linked to breast cancer. That's it. HRT, stop doing HRT. It's affecting everyone. Never, ever do HRT. That happened in 2002. When Dr. Blooming and Carol Travis wrote this book, everybody goes like, it makes sense. My body is producing less estrogen. I'm going to give estrogen and progesterone so I don't have to go through menopause. And it's funny how, how it has changed. And a lot of people in my community are different age group. I have a lady who is about 80 something in my community. And she said, I used HRT. Yeah, I used HRT for 10 years. And right after I stopped it, I went through all the symptoms of menopause, and it was terrible. So it's not because you use HRT, it's like, oh, that's it. I'm not going to have any symptoms, right? And right now, Maricel in her talk is going to add more to this. However, this is the important part of it all. Is HRT for everybody? And the answer comes from epigenetics. HRT has limitations, definitely has limitations. HRT basically doesn't directly check how your body metabolizes hormones. Do you know how your body metabolizes hormones? No, not really. Um, do you know that it's a trial and error? Oh, let's try this amount of estrogen. Oh, let's try this combination of progesterone. Or let's, like there's a lot of things that are trial and error. Like a lot of medications are trial and error. Same idea. Because nobody ever taught us how we metabolize hormones. We all metabolize hormones in different ways. So here is when knowing your DNA matters, because DNA predicts risk better. And I'm going to say this again. DNA predicts risk better. If you understand how you metabolize hormones, then we can support personalized hormonal health. In other words, what do I need to support in my body to be able to not have all of these menopausal symptoms or perimenopausal? Or I can go back into, girls with early menarche, or girls that have very, very stressed and very painful periods, or women. I'm getting a lot of women actually approaching me that cannot get pregnant, or men that cannot produce, enough viable sperm, or women again, going through an early menopause, or women that have had hysterectomies, or that we have all of these hormonal imbalances worldwide. So our goal basically is understanding our genetics, our epigenetics. And once we understand our epigenetics, we will be able to understand how we metabolize hormones. So this is where we get into these individualized factors behind menopausal symptoms. First of all, it's our genes. There are trillions of genes. There are like trillions of genes, and everybody's like, why do you pick the ones you do? We work with only 70 genes. And you might ask us, why 70? Why these 70? We didn't decide which genes to use. And I need to give credit to my mentor, Dr. Penny Kendall-Reid. She's a naturopathic doctor in Ontario. She wrote a book, Fix Your Genes to Fit Your Genes. And so Dr. Penny Kendall-Reid has had over 20 plus years experience with clinical studies using these genes. We did not pick them up, okay? We have learned from her about how they express, and more importantly, how they interact with each other. So within trillions of genes, we work with 70 genes. Now, these genes are very important in terms of epigenetics. Epigenetics is the environment. How can I change the environment to get these genes to express in a better way? And when we make these environmental changes, then we can say, oh, my genes are expressing better. Why? Well, because they respond to environmental changes. And so when you think about from this point of view, you understand that hormones are actually molecules produced in very, very small concentrations, and they're producing one part of the body, and then they give a response to another part of the body. They're chemical messengers. They will they will not only regulate, like we always think about hormones like estrogen, progesterone. No, there's tons more hormones in the body. They regulate hunger. They have to do with your metabolism, with how you store fat, how you use energy. There are many hormones. There are multitude of hormones, but it's not only understanding that we have hormones. It's the multitude of hormones that we have, but also how they interact with each other and which are the key hormones that influence menopausal symptoms. And so here we think about your environment, my environment. I am responsible of my environment. I'm responsible of giving my body what my body needs. It can be emotional, it can be my social environment, it can be endocrine disruptors, as I mentioned, estrogen in the environment that I had back then. I mean, 40 years ago, I had no idea what was happening in my body. I even when I got pregnant I lost two babies before having my first daughter. I had no idea what was happening in my body. Like all these things from environmental constraints. Also, our lifestyle in terms of movement. Are we moving all the time, or are we moving once in a while? Are we sitting down all day? Like we decide our environment. We can change the environment. So, an important organ that determines how we metabolize hormones is the liver. It's a very important organ. And sometimes people used to ask me, so what do you do, Alicia? Oh, I clean livers. I'm like, what do you mean by I clean livers? You take them out and you clean them with soap and water? I'm like, no, okay. Let's understand, first of all, that livers are amazing organs. I think they are like the best organ that exists in the body. A lot of them are overburdened by these environmental toxins, endocrine disruptors, heavy metals, anything that comes to us in the water, in the air, in soil. Everything we flush down the toilet will come back to us. Everything we put in the soil will come back to us because everything goes back to the water, and the water will always come back to us. The way we detox, the way the way our liver metabolizes, all of these disruptors, it's very important. But it's very important to understand that estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol, cholesterol, all of these are metabolized in the liver. So this is where we can make it highly personalized depending on your genetics. In other words, if we're able to support this overburdened liver, first of all, let's stop putting logs into the fire, right? Let's clean up our environment. Let's reduce environmental toxins. Let's learn how to support detoxification. And this is basically what I was doing when I started into menopause. I was supporting detoxification. My liver, which I had already been working with, it's not like it wasn't magic, but my liver started detoxifying a lot better. And now I understand that. Okay. And the most important question that people ask me is HRT for me is the following. Do you metabolize estrogen to a protective estrogen or not? And this is one of the key concepts for us in HRT. Now, a lot of people tell me, oh my gosh, I have these variant genes. I have these genes that are not producing estrogen or are not metabolizing estrogen the way they're supposed to be. Well, let me tell you something. Genes influence expression, but they're not your destiny. Having those genes doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that, oh my gosh, I inherited this gene, I am going to have breast cancer. Oh my gosh, I inherited this gene, I'm going to have Alzheimer's, or whatever you want to call it, right? Genes influence tendencies in how your body processes hormones, but the reason why your input still matters because lifestyle modifies gene expression. And even if you're an HRT, understanding your genes, it's important to be because HRT modifies the signaling of your genes, modifies gene expression. And so it's important to understand that it's not only like saying, oh, I have a gene. For example, I'll put you a gene, a very famous gene. Okay, everybody knows this gene, I think. Anyway, you remember the story of Angelina Jolie, right? That was the first time, and especially, somebody coming from those big. Angelina Jolie comes in and says, oh, I am positive for, what was the gene? Correct. The BRCA gene. I have the BRCA gene. I am going to go through a double mastectomy, get rid of it because I don't want to have breast cancer. Okay, becomes news, and everybody's like, oh, I want to do that. Oh, I want to do that. I'm never going to have breast cancer because I don't have breast, blah, blah. Okay. Imagine the BRCA gene as you might have the BRCA gene, yes, or you might not have the BRCA gene. However, imagine the BRCA gene turning on as if it's a forest fire. You have a forest fire and it's very hard to deal with a forest fire. Well, I don't care about the BRCA gene because guess what? Some people might have the BRCA gene, some people might not have the BRCA gene, and that doesn't determine if they have breast cancer. The most important thing that we work with are genes that instead of having a forest fire, and I love this analogy of the forest fire because it's very visual. I work with the small fire, the fire pit in your campsite. That little fire, I can turn it off a lot easier, right? I just need a bit of soil, a bit of sand, maybe a bit of water to turn it off. Or I can deal with, oh, I can turn it on, I can turn it off, I can turn it on, I can turn it off. You need kindle, you need a match, you need something to turn on the fire. It's a lot easier to work with these genes that may never, ever trigger a forest fire. But here is the problem. Our system has basically told us that, oh, you have the BRCA gene. You have a high risk of breast cancer. Let's do something about that. And so I'm curious why Angelina Jolie got rid of her both breasts. However, what about we work with how do we deal with your small campfire to start with? And this is where we work on. It's not just about how you metabolize hormones. It's not just about how your liver metabolizes hormones. It's about your lifestyle. And by lifestyle, I mean, before you think about HRT, yes or no, because HRT might not be protective for you, think about your lifestyle. And within our book, within our Epigenetic Roadmap to Menopause Health book, we call these core steps. We call these lifestyle core steps. And there's 8 within the book. Here I'm just presenting 5 of them that I believe that are extremely important. Number 1 is food. Eat real food as close as possible to its original form. Oh, I already do that. Good for you. How often do you eat? I'm dealing right now with the family that has snacks apparently all day long. Oh, we eat all day. Okay. And how much do you eat? Oh, well, we just eat whatever we're hungry or whatever. We just go. I had a family out in Costa Rica that decided to go buy another freezer because they would go to Costco and buy all of this frozen food and they needed more space for storage. And so anyway, so I'm like, oh, great. I'm like, where are the vegetables? Are they clean? Are your vegetables clean? Where are they coming from? Where is the cow coming from? Where's your chicken coming from? Sometimes, a lot of times, we have no idea. In Mexico, my community was like, Alicia, how do you want us to find out where the meat comes from? I'm like, well, you need to go, back to the butcher and find out what that cow ate, and how was that cow raised. She's like, no idea. We have no idea how to do that. I know, for example, as a fact in Canada, when you buy meat or you buy chicken, it needs to say no antibiotics, no hormones added. If it does not say that on a label, it has antibiotics and it has hormones. So eating real food, clean food and real food is not easy because it's not easy to find, but it's possible. Another one is movement. I grew up in a family that was highly academic. Movement was not something that was a priority. And I have to tell you, it's taken me years to find the movement I love. When I understood my genetics, my first movement is always walking. I do functional movement. Before I came to do this talk, I went for a walk. After I finish here, I'm going for a walk. Moving functionally, like in the day, even going up and down the stairs for a glass of water, or taking a break and moving in between, it's important. It's more important that you move through the day than if you go to a gym for an hour every 3 times a week. Movement has to be enjoyable. Do what you love doing. The day I don't go for walks, I miss it so much, I'm cranky. Sleep. Practice sleep hygiene. The difference between sleeping 7 hours to 8 hours it's a lot. We need to aim for those 8 hours of sleep. And how do I know that I slept enough? If you wake up without an alarm and you wake up rested. It's not hard, but I don't know a lot of people that can do that. Detox. Again, minimize the toxin exposure and support your body elimination organs. Body elimination organs means you need to be pooping like a millionaire, peeing, drinking enough water, sweating, breathing. Actually, I used to teach kids how to eat, and they called me the queen of poop reading because I'm like, you know what? And it was fun with the kids. It's so fun to talk about poop reading. It's like, what do you see in the toilet? Oh, you see a log? Yeah. What color is it? Why is that important? Is it well formed? Is it diarrhea? Is it constipation? What it's like? I get so much information from it. Be open about this conversation. And then calm, reduce stress, practice self-regulation is extremely important. The way we started this masterclass, it helped me so much. Thank you, Cindy, for doing that. Practice self-regulation during the day. Make it functional as well. Okay, and so lifestyle is extremely important. But why do we think about genetics and menopause? Because we don't use genetics to predict whether HRT will work for you. We use genetics to personalize how to support your hormones, your metabolism, your mood, and long-term success while you're on it. HRT is not for everybody if you are metabolizing estrogen, especially estrogen, when it's heavy in estrogen. If you are metabolizing into a type of estrogen that's non-protective, it's not good for you. Your body will not be able to metabolize it. If we're able to support and find out how to support your detoxification pathways, that's extremely important. So, there is something very important to think about. And this is where our calm step, we call it the queen of the steps. Because when we have so much stress, we cause a lot of inflammation in the body. And it doesn't matter that you have the best genes that will metabolize that estrogen to where you want it to be. it can change all your genes to challenging expression. So why is it that stress is so important? And here I'm going to go a little bit into science. Don't worry too much about it. But our brain, our hypothalamus and our anterior pituitary are in our brains. Okay? The hypothalamus sends a message to the anterior pituitary, which will send a message to the adrenal cortex to produce cortisol. There's too much stress. Then you see the small lines is like going backwards to the hypothalamus and the pituitary saying, oh, I have enough cortisol. I don't need more. And this negative feedback doesn't exist very much. Now, there's another axis called the HPG axis, hypothalamus, pituitary, gonads. And there's a third one called HPT axis, hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid. All of these messages coming from the brain to our gonads, meaning ovaries and testes, and to our thyroid, all of them work exactly the same way. Everything sends a message back to the brain, that negative feedback to the brain. So the HPA axis is a one that we call it the stress axis. All of these, your adrenal cortex, your gonads, your thyroid, are sharing 2/3 of the pathway already from the brain. If we're able to work with stress, guess what? We can work with all of these estrogen dominance and with our thyroid health. So, which other genes may cause stress and what can we do about them? So here's a question for you. What is causing the most stress in your life? Thinking about, oh, I'm going to get a hot flash. Oh, poor me, I have all of these menopausal symptoms. What is causing the most stress in your life right now? And if you can put that on the chat, I'd love to hear what is causing most stress in your life. Because if we don't regulate stress, if we don't understand our stress, and we don't tell our brain, hey, there's too much cortisol, let's slow it down, with whatever lifestyle you want to do, like we just did some breathing or movement or whatever, anything helps. So I want you to, if you're listening to the recording, think about what is causing so much stress. Gina says, perimenopausal rage. Oh, I love that answer. Weightlifter upstairs practicing every night. Good for you, Lauren. Perimenopausal rage. Our moods change. Yes, absolutely. And I mean, I'm guilty as like, and I don't know why, Maricel is laughing because we start going through menopause as our girls go through their periods, okay, or start their periods. It's like, why is this matching? Oh my gosh, and I get so upset all the time and my mood changes. Yes, menopause changes your moods. Absolutely, your hormones are changing. And that causes more stress. And as you cause more stress, you're going to cause more problems with your hormones. So it's a bad cycle. We need to break that cycle. Start with that stress. Gina, I recommend that you actually, if you didn't see Cindy Terrell's exercise about calming down the nervous system, start there. Start with breathing. Start with, instead of getting angry, say, I need a minute. Get into the washroom, do some breathing. And if you want to scream, go put a pillow in front of you and scream. Don't scream to your kids. Believe me, later on they'll come up and ask you to pay for that. You don't need that. But anyway, yes, perimenopausal rage is normal. And don't feel bad about it, but let's do something about it. Change your lifestyle. Okay? All right, I hope that helped somebody with that little thing. So anyway, so when we looked into our genetics, we don't just look at hormones. We look at, as I mentioned, 70 different genes in all of these categories. Why is this important? Because it's not only hormones. It's not only reproductive hormones. It's not only thyroid hormones. It's detoxification. I mentioned stress, I mentioned sleep, I mentioned exercise. It's your metabolism, is macronutrients. How much protein do I need? How much fat do I need? Oh, I didn't know that. Your neurotransmitters. You talk about rage. Oh my goodness. This is another one. I will do this next time I do something. I will do a talk. I will talk about neurotransmitters. Um, Anything from dopamine, serotonin, cortisol, like all of these neurotransmitters really are very important. But the most important thing for me is this. It's not just the categories of SNPs. By the way, SNP it's single nucleotide polymorphism. It's the way a gene works, basically, or it's the way the gene is expressed. It's not only understanding these categories of genes, it's understanding how they interact with each other. And this is what gives you answers to any menopausal symptoms you're having or anything that's happening in your life. To me, understanding myself from this perspective was validating, one, that I have ADHD, that my neurotransmitters were a mess, that my stress was a mess, that my sleep wasn't optimal. Once I started optimizing, and I mean optimizing, because I already thought I already ate well before I started this work. Optimizing my physiology based on my genetics made a world of difference. So if you're thinking of HRT, or if you're thinking of, is HRT for me? I actually have a gift for you. I'll put that in the chat in just a second. But here's the decision-making checklist. Number one, discuss HRT options especially with your healthcare provider. If they know really well about that, and as I mentioned in this book, Estrogen Matters, they mention this. It appears safer that you take HRT within 10 years of menopause or before age 60. Warning, you might be taking HRT and then later on go through the menopausal symptoms, okay? There's a way of weaning off HRT as well. Consider relevant genes categories to tailor your treatment plan. This is where the genetic testing that we do is so simple. It's a saliva test sent to a lab. We get your genes. We use a private lab in Ontario, Canada, but they send tests worldwide. It's the simplest test, really, and you only need to do it once. That's it, because genes will never change, okay? Evaluate from a very comprehensive understanding, what are the risks and what are the benefits? Are the benefits that my rage is going to go lower, or is there anything else I can do about that? Is a benefit that I will reduce my hot flashes? Oh, that's great. What are the risks? Really look at both. Personal understanding and a personalized wellness roadmap. It's, to me, has made a world of change to women. Okay? Also, keep track of your symptoms. Listen to your body. I don't know how many times, the first time I told somebody, is like, listen to your body. What do you mean, Alicia? Hey, you have a headache? Do you know where that came from? Listen to your body. Did you wake up moody? Are you having more rage? How did you sleep last night? Listen to what your body is telling you. And then complement, if you decide to do HRT, great, but always include lifestyle. Eat, move, sleep, calm. All of these steps that we have within our book can give you guidelines on how to be able to concentrate and get answers without all of the side effects. Okay? And I have a gift for you. It's called, and I'm going to put this on the chat in a minute. And this is basically a hormone replacement therapy handout for you with a lot of things that I talked about today that I hope you find helpful. If you're interested, again, this free gift came, it's an excerpt of our book, Epigenetic Roadmap to Menopause Health. Notice that there is a book and that there is a manual. What's the difference between the book and the manual? The book, takes you through all the steps. They are, I don't know how we put our heart into it. We put as many possible things possible that you can do at home, basically, to support menopause. The manual is like your guide to put them into practice. Why? Because to me, when I learn something new, I don't know you, but if I don't put it into practice, it never materializes. It never becomes real. So that's why, I pushed for the manual and we got it out. Besides all of these, we have a program called Gene Reset Blueprint. If you want to explore your individual genetic tendencies in greater depth, we have a Gene Reset Blueprint DIY course that guides you through the process. It's a process, it's a step by step. We decided to do this because it takes about 12 weeks to understand the concepts and to reset your genes. For me, it took me about 12 weeks to be able to reset my genes and then be able to say, you know what? I feel a lot better. For me, this was true. When I started resetting my genes, I started taking a supplement. In 3.5 weeks, I woke up one day and I said, wow, is this what they mean when they say you feel calm? I'm like, nobody ever told me that calm. I should feel that way. It took me 3.5 weeks. That day I picked up the phone first thing in the morning. I phoned my business partner. I said, I reset my genes. And she goes, what do you mean? I'm like, because nobody told me that this is what it feels to be calm. I have ADHD. That's the reason why the book of ADHD came out too as well. The book for ADHD. If you look at Epigenetic Roadmap on Amazon, there's a whole series. Or if you put my whole full name, Alicia Mazzari-Anderson on Amazon, I'm there. But what has made a world of difference for anybody with HRT is understanding their genetics. Because understanding their genetics, and Maricel says yes, because we speak the same language. We met through this group and we're so happy we met. Understanding your genetics and putting it into practice one at a time, one thing at a time. That's what can make a difference between, yes, I want HRT in my life, or no, HRT doesn't work for me. We had a lady in one of our programs who was on HRT when we were talking about reproductive hormones, and she looked at her genes and she goes like, "Oops, I am taking HRT. They're giving me estrogen, but I don't metabolize it to a protective form." She decided that day to stop using HRT. So it is a one-on-one. It's a personalized. It's a personal decision. To me, the only person that is responsible for your health is you, is me. For my health, it's me. I'm taking charge of my health this way by understanding my genetics. And Maricel, can I say something about the work I did with you?
Absolutely, please.
Well, anyway, Maricel and I, we've been exchanging a little bit of the work like I do. She's been doing what I do, and I've been doing what she does. So anyway, I did this DNA test with Maricel. And also I got my results, and I was super happy. My chronological age, like how old I am, I'm 65 years old. My biological age is 54 years old. Not only that, so I am a lot younger physiologically than chronological, which is great. It's like, oh yes, what I'm doing is working. It works. That was the one. And the other thing, I mean, you might tell me if I explain this correctly. For every year, for every chronological year, I age 6 months or a little bit more than 6 months. And so Maricel put me she was like, I've never seen this before. It's not that I've done this my entire life. I have to tell you, before I even started being a nutritionist in 2010, I went through these rages. I totally understand these rages. I had actually, you're gonna laugh, but I had one of these hormonal rages right after my third son was born. It was so embarrassing. It was not funny. It was not funny. Like, I went through a huge rage with my husband. My in-laws were there. Oh, it was horrible. My poor little girls were all scared. It was terrible. And anyway, I understood that my hormones were a mess. Of course, I just had my third baby, right? And but anyway, it has taken years. It's not like, oh, I'm changing the environment overnight, or I'm changing my diet overnight, or like, it's not like that. It is a process, and you need to be embracing these changes slowly, and you need to make them a habit. And making habits, it's not overnight. It takes time to make habits. And when these habits are instilled, then you can see the changes. Even the habit of being in bed every night by 10, it's a habit. Oh, but it's so funny. My husband says, I'm going to bed. And he's in bed like in 2 minutes. And I'm like, I'm going to bed. Well, before, oh, yeah, but I still need to do this in the kitchen. I still need to do the laundry. I still need to do this for tomorrow. You're still doing all these things. And then you go to bed. Why do we women do that? We do that to ourselves. So anyway, anybody here has any questions or any comments that you want to ask me? We have here Marina, Renee, Gina, Liliana. Anybody that would like to add something or have a comment or any questions that I can answer? Was this clear enough for you to understand? And the link is on the chat, www.imbalancelm.com/HRT. I try to make it as simple as possible. Imbalance LM comes from Imbalanced Lifestyle Management, and that's actually the name of my business partners.
Wow, Alicia, this is fantastic. I only have one more question. What is the one mindset shift that could immediately support women today about their menopausal symptoms?
The mind shift is, please take time to love yourself. We always put everybody in front of us. We always put anybody in front of us. Being loving ourselves is not selfish. It's the opposite. It's loving others. So basically, what I do recommend is love yourself first, because that way you're loving everybody around you. Maricela and I, we share something. My mother had dementia. She passed away. Maricel's mom has dementia. And I have to tell you, I don't want to leave that to my kids, because I already lived through that. If I can avoid that, I'll do anything. And that means loving myself first. And Gina has another question here. How do we offset hormonal insomnia with trying to get a good night's sleep? Well, number one, Gina, do you work with sleep hygiene? Meaning, do you go to sleep every day at the same time? Do you do the same thing before you go to bed every night? How do you prepare yourself to go to sleep? Okay. Another important thing is, whatever you do, first thing you do in the morning will affect your sleep. This is something people don't understand. But the first thing that you should do in the morning is see natural light. If possible, if the weather is fine, go outside and see the sun. I haven't seen the sun for a couple of days here because I live in Vancouver and it's cloudy all the time. So start by setting up morning routines. Have a circadian rhythm as well for your meals through the day. Stop eating anything at least 2 hours before you go to bed. Okay. Whenever you're ready, like go to bed. This is something you can do. If you have hormonal insomnia, support your liver. I love a technique that is found in the books. It's called it's something that is actually universal. Castor oil packs. Castor oil is super cheap. It's an oil. It's super cheap. And you basically make packs, and you start putting those around your liver at least 20 minutes, with a hot pad every day. That will help you metabolize your estrogen and metabolize hormones in a better way. That will help you sleep. Okay. There's way more than this. I highly recommend that you check our gift, and you can also check our book. There's lots of links there as well if you want to have a chat. I will love to have a chat with you. This is possible. Here, love yourself first. Okay. And Gina, yeah, I try to have a routine at night that stays consistent. Okay, here is a change of mindset, Maricel. Instead of I try to have a routine at night that stays consistent, I have a routine at night that stays consistent because I love myself. How has that changed, Gina, on that mindset? It's just something simple. Cindy says, my Aunt Boja used castor oil. That was an old remedy. It's been a remedy worldwide. Very, very old remedy. That's why I say it is universal. You can find castor oil anywhere in the world. I've had people in the Middle East finding castor oil. I have people in Europe, people in South America, in Latin America. Everybody can find castor oil. It's a very old remedy. It's an old folks remedy. We give you a lot of remedies or a lot of things that you can do at home. By the way, castor oil in the past was used orally, and that is very toxic. However, topically, that is what's amazing. Okay? Cindy, I sleep with a castor oil pack almost every night. Good for you. I love it. And it's my overnight moisturizer for my face. Yes, people use it for their hair, for their eyelashes. People use it for their face. It's amazing. And it's super cheap. Like, it's not that expensive. The problem is that it's sticky, and sometimes your pajamas might be all stained, but who cares? It's super helpful. Yeah. I use a castor oil pack, by the way. It's called the Queen of the Thrones, I think. So that's already the pack. It's ready to strap it yourself. So in the morning, what I do, I put it on, I strap it, then I exercise, I do other things. And later on, I shower. I use sodium bicarbonate, or how to call it, baking soda, to get rid of it because it's very sticky. But, there's all kinds of ways. Yeah, the Queen of the Thrones has great packs. Yes, it's super easy to use. Okay, anything else? Any other question? Any other comment that people will have? Yeah, helps you with relaxation. Yeah, helps you with bloating, helps you with digestion. Remember that as your digestion gets better, then your liver is not taking as many debris or as many garbage, you will say, and your liver starts clearing up. And you start metabolizing hormones a lot better, and definitely helps with all that long list about menopausal symptoms. They start disappearing easily, like one at a time, but they do start disappearing. All right. Well, I have I just want to thank everybody for being here and for their interest on this topic. Um, and that's it for me.
Well, I actually have a very quick, I think, question. Um, I have talked to a lot of people about HRT, and their healthcare professionals say, well, that's what you're going to do. And they don't seem to give people choices, or we just talked about castor oil that's been used for hundreds and hundreds of years at least, or maybe millennia. Um, how do you talk to your healthcare professionals when they're absolutely, you got to do it my way or no way?
Well, I mean, first of all, the person that has the last word is you. It's your body. So that's number one. Number two, ask. Ask what are the risks? What are the benefits for me? What if I don't metabolize estrogen to the protective part, to the protective way? What if I metabolize estrogen? What are the risks of me having breast cancer because of HRT? That's a big question. If it's a 0%, go ahead. You know, ask the doctor. You have the right to ask your doctor for these questions. Go to talk with your practitioner before you go see him. And Erin, you're absolutely right. You get a new practitioner who will listen to you. There's so many practitioners out there that will not listen to you because they get paid if they're giving HRT. They give HRT, sadly. So you need to look for somebody that will listen to you. For me personally, understanding my epigenetics has made a world of difference. I have zero menopausal symptoms. I sleep like I have never slept before. And I have felt this calm, as I mentioned, that I have never felt before. I had no idea. Actually, that's how it felt because I've never felt it before. So ask the questions, ask for the risks and the benefits for you. And if you're ever interested on having a free chat with me, I will put a link on my on in here, so you can go and make a like a one. We can have a one-on-one conversation about it. Does that answer your question?
I think it does. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank Liliana. Thank you so much for saying that. Okay, so I think I do we keep going? Because guess what? I'm introducing myself now.
Well, I'm going to stop the recording now, and then you can go through that process.